Walk into any restaurant in America, and you'll see the same desperate sign, now hiring.
Hiring outlook for the graduating class of 2026.
Surveys show that job prospects for recent graduates are down significantly from a year ago, so what is going on?
Scroll through LinkedIn and watch business owners complain that nobody wants to work anymore. It's become the anthem of our economic moment, a phrase that unites frustrated executives and struggling small business owners in their shared bewilderment. Here's the uncomfortable truth they're stumbling toward. Labor force participation among young men has plummeted over recent decades, while male participation overall has dropped more than 10 percentage points over the past 50 years. When employers gripe that finding workers feels impossible, when young people claim decent jobs don't exist, both sides are looking at the same crisis from opposite ends. The real question isn't whether people want to work, it's whether work, as currently configured in America, can sustain the lives people want to live. There's a poll that haunts me. Barely 1 in 5 American workers feels genuinely engaged at their job. 80% of the workforce spends the majority of their waking hours doing something they find meaningless, tedious, or soul-crushing. We've built an economy where dissatisfaction is the default setting. Two camps have emerged from this wreckage. The first sees moral decay. Young people would rather waste away streaming content than put in an honest day's work. The second camp agrees people don't want to work, but asks who could blame them when jobs pay poverty wages, demand unpredictable schedules, and offer zero dignity. The fascinating part? They're both describing the same phenomenon, just assigning different villains. And here's where the math has stopped working for everyone involved. Jobs that can't find workers fall into 3 buckets. First are positions paying laughably below market rates, companies hunting for senior developers in Silicon Valley at $50,000 annually, or demanding 20 years of experience in a programming language that's only existed for 5. Even entry-level positions offering minimum wage in cities where finance bros are crammed into shared housing struggle to find takers. Turns out people need to afford rent. But here's where it gets messy. Just as businesses lowball skilled candidates, workers overestimate their market value. A recent survey asked Americans to name the minimum salary they'd need for financial success. Young workers entering the labor force think it requires nearly $600,000 annually. That's not a typo, a figure that's fantastical for all but a handful of career paths. Meanwhile, boomers doing most of the hiring place that threshold around $100,000. That's still nearly double the national median, but at least exists in actual job listings. Social media hasn't helped. When every third post shows someone your age claiming to make 6 figures from dropshipping, traditional employment looks like a sucker's game. The damage is done. Expectations have detached from reality on both sides of the hiring desk. The second category involves workplaces that treat employees as disposable machinery. According to a 2023 survey, full-time workers now average 9.2 hours of unpaid overtime weekly, nearly a full workday of free labor extracted every single week. These positions can usually find someone desperate enough to start, but they hemorrhage staff. The third category is perhaps most cynical: ghost jobs that were never real to begin with. Applications go into databases, building recruitment pipelines for theoretical future needs. Even workers genuinely eager for employment find themselves shouting into a void, their desperation met with algorithmic silence. Strip away the moral panic and look at the actual data. When you exclude the youngest and oldest workers, labor force participation is approaching all-time highs. Read that again. It matters. For people in their prime working years, employment isn't optional, it's survival. Most households need 2 incomes now as a baseline requirement to avoid financial catastrophe. The overall decline is being driven by 2 groups on opposite ends of the age spectrum. This is where the "nobody wants to work" narrative completely falls apart. Older workers present the simpler story. Post-pandemic, many workers over 55 have stepped back from the labor force, aided by strong asset prices and severance packages that made early retirement viable. That's not laziness, that's rational economic behavior. Young workers tell a more complex tale. More Americans than ever pursue higher education, which delays workforce entry. Many have calculated that part-time work during college isn't worth the stress when they're already drowning in student debt. When you graduate owing $100,000, what's another $8,000 $1,000 from working at Target. Then there's the brutal reality facing recent graduates. A Berkeley professor recently described how his top computer science students, graduates with perfect 4.0 GPAs from one of the world's elite programs, couldn't find work. Not struggling to find good work, zero offers. This is in technology, an industry hiring frantically just 24 months prior. When a 4.0 from Berkeley yields nothing, something fundamental has fractured. The common response to this rejection is educational avoidance. Can't find work with your bachelor's? Get a master's. Still struggling? Maybe a PhD. Advanced degree enrollment has exploded partly because graduate school offers a socially acceptable way to avoid admitting the entry-level job market has collapsed. Every year spent in additional education is another year not counted in labor force participation statistics. The system has accidentally incentivized people to hide from work by pursuing credentials that may no longer guarantee employment. This trend doesn't hit evenly. Some cities thrive while entire regions decay. West Virginia illustrates this brutally. A recent study found labor force participation ranging from 42% in some counties to 77% in others. That's a 35 percentage point gap within a single state, nearly double the variation between different states nationwide. People who still have jobs in these areas can't afford not to work. People in areas without jobs can't afford to move. Relocation costs money, and leaving means abandoning family support networks. The Americans with financial flexibility have already fled, taking opportunities with them, accelerating the decline. This isn't just a West Virginia problem, it's a national pattern. A handful of expensive coastal cities absorb most high-paying job growth while everywhere else stagnates. If you want to work in many industries, you either compete for scraps in economically abandoned regions or fight for footing in cities where rent consumes half your income. Finance and technology became the last escape routes. Industries that still paid enough to justify brutal costs and student debt. Even those paths are closing. The professor's Berkeley students? They're discovering the escape rope has been cut. The math has stopped working even for people who did everything right. So when someone says nobody wants to work anymore, what they're really observing is a system where work has stopped making sense for a growing number of people. Not because they're lazy, but because the math has definitively broken down. You can't shame people into accepting jobs that won't cover rent. You can't inspire engagement in work that feels meaningless and pays accordingly. You can't expect graduates to feel grateful for the opportunity to start their careers $100,000 in debt with no prospects. The labor force participation decline isn't about cultural decay or technological disruption. It's about an economic structure that stopped delivering on its end of the bargain. Work is supposed to provide not just survival, but a path towards something better: security, dignity, the possibility of building a life worth living. For an increasing share of Americans, that promise rings hollow. The boomer who retired early because they could afford to, and the Gen Z grad drowning in debt with no offers are responding to the same broken incentive structure, just from different positions of privilege or desperation. The math has stopped working at both ends. Companies allowing remote work could help address some of this geographical inequality, but businesses have largely rejected this solution, preferring to mandate returns to expensive offices while simultaneously complaining about worker shortages. The cognitive dissonance would be funny if it weren't so destructive. The phrase, "nobody wants to work anymore," lets everyone feel righteously aggrieved without examining why work has become something people increasingly want to avoid. It's a thought-terminating cliché that prevents harder conversation. Until we confront the structural failures, geographical abandonment, degree inflation trapping people in debt, jobs demanding everything while offering nothing, companies posting phantom positions, we'll keep having the same tired argument while conditions deteriorate. The tragedy isn't that people don't want to work, it's that we've built an economy where, for many, working harder just means struggling more efficiently. When the system's rules guarantee most players lose regardless of effort, you can't act shocked when people stop wanting to play. At Market Media, your opinion matters to us. Share your story in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.